An official story of his life sounds like a plot for an exciting movie. Here comes an awkward question about the motives and goals of Castaneda. There is even an investigation that leads us to believe that he made up all his travels and Don Juan. Carlos Castaneda, American writer, anthropologist, ethnographer who made quite a fuss in the informational space and left a lot of questions behind. I suppose every one of you has heard the name of Carlos Castaneda. An official story of his life sounds like a plot for an exciting movie. As a part of his master's thesis at the Faculty of Anthropology, Carlos decided to conduct a field research to study medical plants and the thought processes of Native American cultures. In Nogales, Arizona, he met a Yaqui shaman named Don Juan Matus. He soon went to Don Juan in Sonora and for several years, with interruptions, studied with him. In the fall of 1965, Castaneda ceased his studies and returned to Los Angeles, and 3 years later published his first book, The Teachings of Don Juan. The book immediately became a bestseller, as well as all later works of the author. The following training resulted in the books Separate Reality and Journey to Ixtlan, for which the author received a doctorate. After that, Castaneda reduced public activity, started to give less interviews, and, in accordance with the doctrine of Warrior's Way, confused the traces and destroyed information about himself. But that didn't stop him from releasing 9 books after the death of Don Juan. One of the first steps in Don Juan teachings is a keen awareness of and concentration on your own death. The realization of death transforms time into a magical power, gives man an incredible potency for change. When living in a country during the war, I can clearly understand these words of Don Juan. The importance of stopping the inner dialogue and monologue is often considered as an important technique. Sorcerers like Don Juan try to achieve eternal consciousness and become a being of a higher state. The books of Castaneda are a significant work of art, but nevertheless they don't carry much practical sense for the reader, as Don Juan's teachings are clearly intended for a narrow circle of people and can only be passed from teacher to pupil through regular practices. Here comes an awkward question about the motives and goals of Castaneda, who almost became a man of knowledge, but nevertheless published the doctrine to the masses, earning a fortune. For example, some lines may even harm fragile minds. For example, a man of knowledge cannot have high status, family, affections. This prompted many ordinary people to conclude that asceticism and unrealization in society equals spiritual development. Write in the comments if you have such acquaintances. In fact, Don Juan's teachings describe shamanism's conceptions of the world very well. He talks about things that can only be described through metaphors, or only if the other person has such a transcendental experience. That is the essence of true esotericism. It is broader than our language of description. The states of consciousness in which the shamans were are unknown to 99% of people, so there are no words to describe them. For example, in the book The Tales of Power, the explanation of such terms as Tonel and Nagual by Don Juan takes about 5 pages. After reading, none of these terms can be described by any of the existing words, and it's hard to clearly understand what it is. This is the main feature of esotericism. There's no sense just to read it, you have to practice it. However, Castaneda even tried to create some kind of a school, but it didn't work very well. In classical Western style, people with different backgrounds were asked to buy videos, brochures and books. They were selling a pill that could solve their problems. Not surprisingly, there were a lot of dissatisfaction and the school was closed quickly. However, many people criticized Castaneda and his work, and there is even an investigation that led us to believe that he made up all his travels and Don Juan. The author claims that Castaneda made all this sitting in the library and reading the occult literature. Anyway, 12 Castaneda's bestsellers that sold 28 million copies deserve attention, at least as a cool marketing case based on the work of the man with the mystical worldview, Carlos Castaneda.